It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, we're $14.6 trillion in debt, and it's just growing in leaps and bounds. It's the highest we've ever had in American history, and as you know, it's crazy out there in the country. We have Congressman Lou Barletta on the show today. He's been there for 8 months. And folks, I want to address and tell you that I appreciate any comments that come in, and we try to present facts here. And sometimes people get upset with facts. I want to read this. This came in from a viewer, and I've had some emails with this gentleman before, but I want to read this while Congressman Barletta is here, and he can respond to this. And folks, then you decide what's happening in the country. Well, he says, well, Sam, to date, let's recap. Lou Barletta has voted to destroy Medicare, voted to destroy Social Security, voted to make the U.S. default on its AAA debt rating, taken hundreds of thousands from right-wing extremists, America-hating billionaires, and is on the record now to vote against extending the tax cut for all working Americans, okay? Sam, all I can say with your boyfriend Barletta, you can sure pick him, Sam. And please, 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 make sure do not dare call Barletta out on any of the American-hating things he has voted for listed above the next time he is on your show. God forbid, if you did that, people might actually take your silly show seriously and may stop laughing at you. Louis, isn't this interesting?
Well, obviously, he's still undecided if he's going to vote for me or not. But, you know, it's funny, Sam, because you opened the show by talking about the fact that our country is $14.6 trillion in debt, the highest that it's ever been. We just saw Standard & Poor downgrade America's credit rating for the first time. We are going down the same path as Greece and Spain and Italy and other countries. And the fact of the matter is that this new freshman class that has gone to Washington just 8 months ago is in a very short time changing the culture of Washington, something that hasn't been done in our lifetime. In fact, this is the first time we're actually cutting spending since World War II, where we have gone from talking about how much to spend to how much to cut, making Washington more responsible, talking about balanced budget amendments, things that moms and pops and people all over America have to do every day. We're asking Washington to act the same way as everyone else does, and apparently this young man feels that we were on the right track and that this new freshman class is doing the wrong things.
You have voted to destroy Medicare. Now you realize what happens, the seniors automatically, when they hear things like that, they're petrified.
That's a tired, old political trick, Sam, to scare senior citizens. I am not voting to end Medicare. Medicare is going to end on its own if we do nothing. I didn't go to Washington to do nothing. I went to Washington to fix the problems. The senior citizens deserve to hear the facts. They deserve to hear the truth. What I voted on, in fact, would not touch senior citizens' Medicare at all. Anyone 55 years or older, Medicare will stay as it is. If you are under 55 years old, Medicare will end if we don't do some sort of reform. But the truth is that the government takeover of health care will affect Medicare. It takes $600 billion out of Medicare. That was signed into law. It was passed by the Democratic House, the Democratic Senate, and President of the United States. I voted to repeal that, so that $600 billion will not come out of Medicare. So this is part of MoveOn.org, who has been stalking me since I'm in office. They could continue to try to scare seniors, but Sam, I'm focused. I know why the people sent me to Washington, and I'm certainly not going to let this young man discourage me.
I'm all for facts, okay? This particular gentleman, when he emailed me first, he was at one of your meetings. And I indicated to him, I said, look, you're more than happy to come on the show. And I said, I've known Lou Barletta for many years, but that has nothing to do with my show, okay? If someone comes on with opposing viewpoints, I think people should hear that. Well, he turned out to, a lot of things happened. But when you're talking about MoveOn.org, all right, Now, give us an example what happened when you had a meeting with the senior citizens in Hazleton.
Well, I had a meeting to go down and talk to the senior citizens, to talk about Medicare, to tell them the facts and the truth so that they are not frightened by these obviously false accusations that this political group, and that's who MoveOn.org is, for those who are not aware of who they are a far left political group who have an agenda, and obviously it's they do not want to see me in office, so they're stalking me wherever I go. They have disrupted all of my town hall meetings to the point where they're not even productive any longer. The police, they cause such a disruption that the police have to take people out. So we can't even have that forum in a productive manner so that I could inform people of what's going on in Washington. I decided to go down to the senior center to talk to the senior citizens and explain to them what is happening in Washington. And this group, who again, as I said, have been stalking me, they came into the senior meeting, and lo and behold, they did the same thing there that they've been doing at the town hall meetings, standing up, shouting, causing a disruption. When the truth of the matter is, and when I confronted the individuals who were there, I asked them, I explained to them that the argument was about jobs.
Yeah, but the one person, when you were done, jumped up and said, why don't you have town hall meetings?
Right.
And what was your response?
Well, he wanted a town hall meeting on jobs, and I explained to him that I would be willing to talk to him that day, right now, about jobs. We don't need to wait for a town hall meeting. Let's have that discussion right now. He kept insisting that I should hold a town hall meeting to talk about, where are the jobs and why aren't there any jobs. And I explained to him that unemployment has been over 9% for 25 of the last 27 months. Now, I have only been in office 8 months, so he certainly can't accuse me of causing the problem. My question to him was, who else had he gone to see? What other elected official had he gone to see? Any of our senators? Senator Casey, Senator Toomey? Has he gone to see any other elected official? Give me the names of who else he went to see to talk about jobs, and when they were holding a town hall meeting, and he didn't have an answer because he didn't go see anyone else. They singled out Lou Barletta because MoveOn.org has they put me as a target. And unfortunately, Sam, it has caused me to find different ways to go out and talk to our constituents, to talk to the people, to tell them the truth and the facts of what we're doing and what we need to do in Washington. So, again, this was another meeting that I had that they totally disrupted.
I understand there was, I know that you have, there are people who have agendas. People think I have an agenda because I always have you on. Well, you're the congressman. When you were the mayor, you were the mayor. If you weren't the congressman, I had Congressman Kanjorski on. So, that's the way it works. But I understand that, there was a person from Pittston who was on a program and said that when you went to visit the plant, you did not say hi to the average workers. You just were with your big shots and ignored everybody else. And this is what he's saying on the radio to this particular host. What is that all about?
Well, Sam, from the 11 years that I've been mayor of Hazleton to the campaigns that I ran for Congress, I've probably been the most accessible elected official that anyone could ask for. I've constantly been out in the public. When I go into towns, I do these tours where I'll stop in restaurants, diners, bars, talking to people, making sure that I'm hearing their voices. In a short time that I've been a member of Congress, I've had 9 different roundtable discussions with different industry sectors, whether it be healthcare, education, small business, jobs, hospitals. I had a gang seminar. I had we brought the chairman of the Education and Workforce Committee, and we had a listening session. I had a transportation and infrastructure hearing. This is in 8 short months in office. I'm sorry if during one of the tours I didn't have an opportunity to shake hands with every individual that was there, and if I passed this individual up, I certainly apologize, and he can call my office and I'll be happy to sit down and talk to him.
Folks, I'm talking to Congressman Lou Barletta from the 11th District in Pennsylvania. Folks, sometimes this is white. The sheet is white. Sometimes people just think it's black, and no matter what you say, whether it's white, they're going to think it's black. There are agendas out there, folks, and whether they're for the Democrats or Republicans, I've said this before, senior citizens, don't let them fool you, okay? We have a serious problem going on in this country, and I don't know if Lou is going to be the answer, but I think 8 months in office versus how many other months in office, there should be accountability. We'll come back, we're going to find out about jobs, and what are we doing about energy. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Don't forget ssptv.com 24/7 if you want to watch any of our shows. My guest today is Congressman Lou Barletta, certainly 8 months in office and facing some very, very serious problems. We talk about, the jobs, and right now what I'm hearing is, well, Barletta, you're there. You said you wanted to go. You wanted to create jobs. What's happening?
Well, Sam, in the House of Representatives, we have addressed all of the issues that is really putting a handcuff on businesses in creating jobs. Being a small businessman before I was mayor, I could tell you that the uncertainty that Washington is creating, and this is created by Washington, the uncertainty that it has created is stopping businesses from hiring, expanding, it's stopping entrepreneurs from starting new businesses. And some of that uncertainty, I'll give you an example of what that uncertainty is. Whether or not the government will continue to take over our healthcare system. That's a job-killing healthcare bill that we have passed and signed into law, the government takeover. The uncertainty about what the taxes will be. The over-regulation that Washington has put on businesses. We have made this the most unfriendly business country in trying to compete in a global economy. When you look at the Chinese and we ask why are businesses leaving America and going to the Chinese, because their taxes are lower, they have less regulations, they pay people poorly, but they can't make products, Sam, as good as we can make them here in America. So we need to make America competitive again and let the world know that America is open for business. We can do that by lowering the corporate tax rate so that we are more competitive in a global market. But at the same time, it is very important that we cut out the loopholes that some of these big corporations are using to get around paying their fair share of taxes. If we do that, we will actually bring in more revenue than trying to tax the very people who we're asking to create jobs. By increasing taxes on business is not the answer. Let's lower the taxes, cut out the loopholes, cut out some of the regulations, repeal the government takeover of healthcare, and you will see the economy grow again. This country will not be saved by Uncle Sam. It won't be saved by Washington. It'll be saved by moms and pops all over America who are the job creators.
Well, Lou, I'm sure that you, and along with some other Republicans, are not the only smart people we have in Congress. If you're telling us, the American people, that this is going to kill jobs, don't we have intelligent people saying, to the president, this is what's going to happen, because I'm not there. And we had a stimulus. I mean, why then will they do this? I'm a small businessman, okay? And all I could tell you is I was told last year that this year I was going to get some breaks. Well, I ended up spending $10,000 more. Now, what do I do? Do I lay somebody off? Do I do this? Okay. So really, they're not making my life any, trying to push me to create more jobs. So I'm living with that. But with that being said, why then would they do this? If they know it's going to destroy, the job force.
Well, Sam, common sense is not so common in Washington, D.C. You can't be for jobs and hate business. That's like saying you like eggs but hate the chicken. It's not very hard to understand that if we're asking you to hire more people, we want you to expand your business or to stay in business so that the people you employ will stay employed. We cannot make it more difficult for you to stay in business. And Washington just cannot get its hands on enough money. Any way that they can get their hands on money, it's not a problem that we tax too much or we don't tax enough in Washington. The problem is that Washington spends too much. And that's why we need to pass a balanced budget amendment. 49 states in the country have balanced budget amendments. It's what you do here. It's what all your viewers do at home. You can't spend money you don't have. Washington doesn't operate like that. We have got to change the culture in Washington. Now, we are doing that in the House of Representatives. Unfortunately, all the things that I've talked about here on your show go over to the Senate and they die. unfortunately, the Senate is not taking up these bills. They're not passing these bills. So therefore, the programs that I'm talking about and the solutions to America's problems are not getting to the president's desk. And until the American people realize that, we are going to continue to watch the economy drag. We're going to watch interest rates fluctuate because of the risk of our debt and whether or not America can pay its debt. And unfortunately, the unemployment rate will not be where we want it to be unless we start making some bold moves.
You said something that I mentioned to Governor Corbett when I interviewed him. I said to the governor, I says, Tom, whatever happened to common sense? We all deal with common sense every day, all right? I mean, if you're in office eight months, and as well as the freshman in Congressman, why then, where is the accountability? I said to you before, if you hire a coach for a team and the team does dismal 3 years, people say, well, we replace the coach. If you have a CEO that comes into a company and you say this CEO is going to bring this company around and it begins to fail and fail and fail, you replace the CEO, whether he's a Democrat or Republican. The Republicans were booted out when they had problems. They put the Democrat president, Democrat House, Democrat Senate. What bothers me is when I see this agenda that the liberals have, the wacko liberals I call them. Now, I have a lot of liberal friends and I respect them. But some of them are off the wall. When I said this is white, you talk to a wacko liberal and you say this is white, they're going to tell you it's black, no matter what you do. So you're faced with that. You were on the floor talking about energy. For example, what happened with what did Obama do with the energy bill?
Well, Sam, this administration is so much against fossil fuels. When here in Pennsylvania, I mean, when we look at what our energy policy is and the fact that we rely on foreign countries for our liquid fuel, the greatest nation on earth, when we have the ability to be energy independent, when here in Pennsylvania we have more energy under our feet than oil in Saudi Arabia, when Pennsylvania has the opportunity to be the next Texas when it comes to energy, the natural gas and coal through clean coal technology and natural gas into liquid fuels, that technology exists. You've had John Rich on your show many times. The technology is here. We have the ability to do that. The fact that this administration is against fossil fuels, this is EPA on steroids, where we have put so much regulations that we are hindering our country from becoming energy independent. Instead of sending money to Saudi Arabia and to other countries, we could be sending that money right here for good jobs, putting people to work, and becoming energy independent. Why, Sam, is beyond me, but I could tell you this. I didn't go to Washington just because I needed another job. I had a good job here. I was home with my friends, my family. This is a great place to live. I went to Washington to fix our problems. It's not about getting reelected, Sam. It's about the next generation, not the next election. And I'm not going to let these people who want the business as usual stop us from doing what we need to do. We need to get this country back to work again.
But Senator Casey, he's been there a while. Toomey just came in. The Democrats had control for 2 years on both sides. We had stimulus, trillions of dollars. Where's the accountability? I don't understand why. Where's the and forget, I'm not picking on Obama but where's the accountability, Lou?
Well, Sam, why aren't we energy independent? Why? Everything's here. The natural resources are here. We can do it. We have the technology. We put a man on the moon, brought him home again. For goodness sakes, we could produce liquid fuel if we want to. Why do we continue to scare senior citizens when we know Medicare is going to go bankrupt? It will not be there for the next generation. Am I going to let that happen? Absolutely not. Let me tell you, it's not easy to come home and tell your constituents we need to reform Medicare in some way. So what Washington does, they don't do it. They don't do their job. They're afraid to tackle these tough problems because they may not get reelected if they take these issues on. Well, that's not the case with I know why people sent me to Washington, but we need to make sure we're telling the people the truth. Senior citizens' benefits will not be affected. I did not vote to end Medicare. It will stay the same. But if you are under 55 years old, I want to make sure that Medicare is there for you as well.
How about Social Security?
Well, Social Security is another problem, Sam. How long have we heard that we need to do something with Social Security? And again, it's another issue that is not being addressed in Washington. And the truth of the matter is, Social Security is a pay-as-you-go system. And the problem is, when the economy is down and so many people are unemployed, we have less people paying into Social Security, and we have more and more people retiring needing these benefits. We can't continue to ignore these issues. I know they're very emotional issues, but if we ignore them, eventually we get to the end of the road when these programs no longer exist to help anyone, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think we need to go to Washington. We need to tackle these tough problems. As long as we're truthful and we stop scaring senior citizens, we can get these problems solved.
Folks, I'm talking to Congressman Lou Barletta. We'll be back right after this. Well, folks, is Congressman Barletta going to kill Medicare, kill Social Security, kill jobs? He's there 8 months. I don't know who's been there 2 or 3 years before that, but however, it's your fault, Congressman, because you've been there 8 months. For the benefit of my friends, the seniors, okay, who always get dumped on, and hopefully they're becoming more and more educated as to what's going on. What does the future look like?
Well, here's the things we need to do, Sam. First of all, we need to repeal, which we did in the House, but the Senate needs to follow up as well. We need to repeal the government takeover of health care. It takes $600 billion out of Medicare. That's what seniors should be worried about. I voted to repeal health care, but the Senate needs to do the same. Second thing is, Sam, we talked about cost of living increase for senior citizens. They haven't had a cost of living increase in Social Security in 2 years. I co-sponsored a bill that would look at adjusting the cost of living increase, the average. Basically, what happens now very quickly is that when they calculate this cost of living increase, they do not take the senior citizens separate from the general public. So when they calculate health care costs, they're calculating young people who are obviously healthier than elderly. So that keeps the average down of what seniors get. The bill that I co-sponsored would put senior citizens in a separate category and calculate heating costs, energy, food, health care, and they would see a cost of living increase, which they deserve. We got to get people back to work again, Sam. I passed a 2012 budget that would take care of Medicare, make sure that it's there for seniors today, but also make sure it's there for our younger Americans. It would solve our credit rating problem, address our debt in the future, let the world know that America is serious about fixing its fiscal situation so people can invest in America again instead of going to other countries to invest. We need to tackle all of these tough problems, Sam, and not be afraid to come home and tell the people the truth of what Washington needs. We need a balanced budget amendment so that the problem we have in Washington never happens again. They need to act in Washington the same way that you and I act at home.
It's interesting why MoveOn.org is targeting you, Ryan, and a few other people, and they're not really going after the people who are asking people questions who have been there for so many years. I don't understand that.
It can't be business as usual in Washington anymore. The American people have spoken. That's why there are so many new members in Washington, like myself, who aren't afraid to go there and shake the bushes and shake the trees and say, listen, we're going to hold you accountable here in Washington the same way everyone in America is accountable. We're all tightening our belts at home, and the politicians in Washington should do the same.
Any predictions for the Republican presidential nominee?
No, Sam, I'm anxious to watch the primary elections and listen to ideas and who has ideas for America, who has experience to be able to guide this country. This is one of the most difficult times that we've been through, and we need people who have the courage, who aren't afraid to handle the tough problems and not just wait and let somebody else deal with it.
In closing, I don't think there was any time we've ever asked you a question, or any hard question, that you did not answer or were not afraid to answer. So it's unfortunate that you cannot have a decent discussion, a dialogue, so people could ask questions without agendas. And it's sad that they're doing that.
Well, I'm going to find different ways to get the message out to people. As I said, come to the supermarket with me once, and it'll be the last time you'll want to come, because it takes me a long time to get through a supermarket. If I have to do it person by person, small group by small group, I'm going to make sure that I listen to the voice of the people who sent me to Washington, and I'm going to bring their voices with me. And if the people in Washington, they don't like what I have to say, or these special interest groups like MoveOn.org, they're just going to have to live with it, Sam, because as long as the people here give me the privilege to represent them, I'm going to do what I think is right.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for being on this silly show, as this viewer said, and I think I've asked you the hard questions. Folks, I want to thank your staff also, Congressman. They've been very receptive, to answer questions. I don't think there's ever been a time when I've asked Congressman Barletta a question, that he was afraid to answer. Folks, please understand, learn as much as you can, get educated, and no matter what side it is, please balance the two things and don't listen to nonsense, folks. I know some of you are a little upset because you think I'm a conservative Republican. That is not the case. What I'm doing is bringing facts, and I don't listen to the nonsense, folks. You seniors, I've told you for many years, don't let them fool you. They're playing with you, okay? Learn the facts and then make decent decisions. We'll see you next time.